Hello YouTube! Today we'll be learning how to make our first Parkitect mod, and should just take less than 10 minutes. And I really encourage you all to give it a try. It's really not much harder than playing Parkitect, and it's fun to, get your own models in the game. So to start off, we'll just do a prop mod like this dinosaur model here from Props Galore. Before you get started, you're going to want to head over to the About page on my YouTube. There's some helpful links there. So we've got the Unity mod tool, and that's on GitHub. It just stores some code. So this is where the mod tool is, and we can also click this, and there's a wiki, and I won't go through all this, but if you ever have any questions, this is how I figured out how to do everything. It's got really helpful information to make any type of mod. So for the mod tool, we'll just go to the latest release here. And we're going to download this .unity package, and we'll save that. Okay. The next thing we want is a Blender template. That's just gonna make things really easy, hide some of the more tricky things in Blender, and it's already got the texture set up. And that's made by an awesome Discord user, Distance, so big shout out to him. And if you just go to that link, I'm just hosting that on Google Drive, so you can download that. And then the other tools you're gonna need are Blender. You can download that for free. And then back on GitHub, if we go to the wiki, you're going to want Unity 3D, which is the game engine. So they recommend using this Unity version. If you're just getting started, then go ahead and download that. But if you have another version, it might be worth just trying it out with that. It does seem to work with other versions as well. And on Unity, you can just download that for free by clicking around. So, now that you've got all that downloaded and installed, let's get started in Blender. Alright, so we're just going to open up Blender, and we'll open up our downloads folder, the mod template. Alright, so we've got our screen of the 3D models, and then over here we've got some folders. And I'll just adjust this so we can see everything. So we've got some different cubes with different materials applied, and then we've got the guest for scale. So there's a lot going on here, but let's keep it simple. We're just doing a prop mod. So we're in the modeling tab up here, so we're going to stay there, and you can just hit add, and meshes are 3D, so let's just add, how about a cylinder? Okay, so we've got our cylinder. It's a little big, it's covering everyone up, so we could just move that out of the way. We can also hit Control Z, that's our move tool. We could rotate it. We can also scale it. Yeah, that looks kind of neat. Alright, so maybe the first road bump you might run into is if you're just messing with things when you're in object mode up here. So you can see we're just got this object. I can click on this cube. It's on all objects. If you're moving things around here, and you go over to this object properties, you'll see these values have changed. So let me go back to scale. See, they're changing in real time, and these are sort of non-destructive changes. So I could just set this back to like 1 and it undoes it. But the issue is if we import that into Unity, it's gonna forget all these changes. So if you do make some changes in object mode, you can just hit Control A, and then you can apply those changes. So we'll apply everything, okay? That's fine. Alright, so the more interesting way to edit objects is in edit mode. So you hit Tab, And now you see all these surfaces. So these are our polygons. You can see down here how many triangles there are. And you can even sort of see if we move over to the guest. Right, the low polygon head for performance reasons, but it looks pretty smooth when you're back in object mode. So just something to keep in mind. So let's take our cylinder, we're going to put it in our first model box, and we'll just double click and rename it first prop. Alright, so I'm going to zoom in there and I'm going to start doing the scaling in here. So we'll do this, we'll scale it down a bit, and let's just hide our guest since he's kind of in the way. Alright, so move that down to about the surface, that's good. Alright, so everything's orange, that means it's selected. I can hit Alt-A, unselect A, select all, Alt-A, deselect all. And then I'm gonna hit W and that toggles through these selection things. So I want this circle, so that sort of lets me just like drag around. You can also hit Control-Z if you want to undo your selection. So I'm gonna select the top, and now it's just the top selected. You can move that up and down. You can start to make this look more interesting. I can scale that. Get a nice pull going. Alright. Let's add everyone's favorite character, the monkey. It's the Blender mascot. I think he'd be pretty useful in Parkitect. I'm going to use this little 3D view control thing. It lets us jump around, so that's going to make it a little easier to put him on top of our totem pole. Oh yeah, that's looking good. Alright, let's check that out. Nice. Alright, so let's go back in here. So we've got our prop set up. And if you guys want to learn how to make your own models, there's so many Blender tutorials on YouTube, so I won't cover that, but all of those skills are going to be real applicable when you're making your prop and designing them. So we've got the prop, now we need to add a material. So I just went over here, I got the prop selected, material properties, material. So we'll add this texture here. And then we're gonna go to UV editing. Alright, so you see we're back in object mode. So I'll hit tab, okay. So now I hit A, and you can see our unwrapped model. And if you ever need to unwrap it again, you can hit U, hit unwrap. It might calculate it a little differently. Now I like hitting this dual arrow button up here. That syncs your selection. So then, you know, I can select these, selects those. So another shortcut is Control L. That selects all the linked ones. So we're gonna select the just the pole, and then we're gonna go down here and I'm gonna use this cursor, put it in this first box, right click, snap, selected to cursor. Alright, that just shrunk them all down to like an infinite little point, and now that's red. And then let's just select our monkey and do the same thing. We'll make it green. Alright, and then we've got our eyes, which is convenient. So why don't we make our eyes a different color? Oh, and you can notice, so I'm selecting that and I'm selecting that. I can just change extend mode. Okay, so now every time I click it just adds to my selection, so that's nice. Okay, Control L, select all linked. And then let's just make that blue. Very nice. Alright, so you might be wondering what's with the weird high contrast colors. So you can choose any of these colors for your prop, but if you want it to be custom colors that the player can then choose with the paint tool in the game, you gotta choose one of these four. So yeah, it tells you more about this in the wiki, but it goes in sort of this weird zigzag direction. So red's the first, green's the second, blue's the third, pink's the fourth. So you want to do them in that order. So if you only want one custom color, just do red. Alright, so he's looking pretty good. We've got him colored. Let's color these little flat surfaces. That'd be kind of fun. So I'm going to drag this radius thing, make my selection a little smaller. Oh, got to extend here too. Alright. There you go. And then we'll try something. Under select, we'll say linked, say flat faces, and we're going to up the degree selection. Oh yeah, that works pretty good. And then I actually think I want to grab that too, and it's here. So there's a lot of neat selection tools to kind of speed up your work. And make that pink, just to make things a little more interesting. Cool. Alright. Okay, so the other thing we can do is we can turn on auto smoothing, and then if I right click shade smooth, probably a little hard to see. Let's undo that. Okay, so I went to grayscale mode up here. Color, grayscale, shade smooth. So see how that kind of blurs out the low polygon look, and you can also like adjust the auto smooth. So you know we still want some hard features, like we don't want to over smooth them. So like, let's keep his eyebrows intact. All right, that looks all right. So that's it. That's our model. It's all done. So we just have that one model for our props. We'll just good with that. Might as well hit save in case anything crashes. So with our props selected, export FBX. So choose FBX, and we'll just export to the downloads folder. And we're only export selected objects. That's important. And then you're gonna wanna look over these. Apply transform is usually useful, but you might have to experiment. And then these control how it's imported into Unity, so the axis orientation. So I think these defaults are good, but we'll see how it looks when we import it into Unity. And if you have any issues, like it showing up upside down, you know, just mess around with these two options. And then we're just gonna rename this. So call this first prop. Hit export. Okay. So that's it. That's our prop out of Blender. Go to Unity. And we'll make a new project, 3D. We'll call it my first prop mod. Create that. And this will just take a second to generate. Alright, welcome back guys. That took a little longer to load, but once you got the first project set up, it'll load quick next time. So, Unity, we've got just a blank project right now. So the first thing we're going to want to do is assets, import package, custom package. And we're going to import this thing we downloaded from the Parkitect mod in GitHub. Alright, so that's just going to load in. Yep, we're going to import everything. Okay, and this is going to give us some reference models. It's going to let us export into the modding format, so it's loaded by the game. And it's also going to have all our textures. So you always want to get this loaded up first. So lots of good stuff to look through here. These reference objects are handy, so if you want to, you can always take these and you can actually import them back into Blender if you wanted to look at them or modify them. So this has now populated our folder structure. So we'll go to just resources. That's where you keep everything. So we'll just go to downloads and we're going to drag in our first prop. And there it is. We can go to inspector up here. You can look at it. All right, you can drag it into the scene and then you could change the position. So we'll just put that at the 0 point and it shows up over here. And then if you hit F, that's a really easy way to like zoom right into it if you lose track of it. Then we can go to materials and we can just drag any of these materials on. So we got all these custom colors. Maybe we'll make it glow. That's a little bright. Let's go with the default. All right. Now we go to Window, Parkitect Asset Editor. All right. New project. We'll call it my first prop mod. All right, and then we can just drag this window. Let's put it over here. You can give it a description that'll show up in the game. Don't mess with that. All right, version number, that looks good. And then what you do is you drag your prop from over here in this hierarchy right over here to the assets. And then it shows right up. So you can give it a name. Maybe we'll give it a space, looks professional. Deco, that's what we want. It's the generic prop type. It's a pretty fancy monkey. Costs $100. All right. Custom colors. So I kind of like here just getting a reference image. Let's see what we got. Oh yeah. So you can just use this color picker. So for the pole, maybe we'll just make that black. Green. You can always look back. Was that our other color? So yeah, red, green. So green is the second color. Go for like a nice, this brown's kind of nice. You can also click that, maybe bump up the contrast a little. And then blue for the eyes. That green's sort of fun. And then for the ears, let's get a nice flesh tone. There we go. All right. Category. So that's where it's going to show up in the game. We'll just keep it like that. And maybe we're ambitious. This will just be the first of many props. So subcategory. You can leave that on. You could bump this down if you want a really granular height adjustment. I like 0.1. It's always fun to make it resizable. So minimum size 0.1, max 10. And then a few more options depending on what kind of prop you're making. All right, and that's it. Just hit export. And it's gonna build this bundle of assets. And you can tell it's working as long as this box is gray. So that's it, it's all done. All right, let's test it out. Don't judge my lack of achievement completion. I'm working on it. All right, Parkitect's loading up, and one thing to keep in mind is anytime you go and change your mod or your model and you re-export it, you're gonna have to close out of Parkitect and then reopen it. So it won't update till you've reopened the game. All right, let's let's just open up a park. Here, this is a fun one. You can see I was testing some of my other mods here. All right, look at that. Our mod is in the game. So we've got our category, subcategory. We can just drag this right in here. And if I hold Alt, it snaps just like you'd expect. Goes up and down in the 0.1 increments. And we can make this thing gigantic. Look at that, $1,000. That's gonna bring the guests in. All right. And the one other thing that I want to show you is you've got your mod, but you want to share it with your friends, right? So you're just gonna go here, hit escape, go to Content Manager, and this shows all your mods. So if we search my first prop mod, then if you hit share, it's just gonna upload that right to the Steam Workshop, and you can make it public, add a description, add an image. And I think we have time for one bonus tip, so we pop back to Unity. You've got this preview image here, so I'm going to right click, show in Explorer. So this is just the same files. So preview.png, if you edit this, you can put your own image here, and then give that extra little bit of flair to your mod when it shows up in the workshop. And it's as easy as that. Thanks for joining us, and I hope to see you next time when we learn some more modeling skills and make our first custom car for a roller coaster train. See you then.